live with my man Danny Abeckaser, known as Danny A, and you better call him Danny A, otherwise he's gonna grab this bat and give you a big ass beating right now. From the movie The Irishman. Then he did his own movie, give me that, Mob Town. And then he did a documentary on the Frank Sinatra when he was in Madison Square Garden. And then he did, what do we else? We got Lansky. This guy is on a roll, not only as an actor, director, producer. This guy does it all. You might as well call him Slash. Please welcome Danny A in the house, baby.
What up, Eddie? What up?
You know, one thing I have to say, you're a good-looking bastard for your age. How's that?
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I try. Exfoliation. It's all about exfoliating, Eddie.
Oh, okay.
Exfoliate. How you doing, Eddie? How you doing?
All right.
Congratulations on this show. It's great. I watched you with Gino Caffarelli. It was awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Looking forward to the strawberry one.
Oh, yeah.
Anderson. Yeah, looking forward to him.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of guests coming on. So, Danny, we're going to turn back the clock a little bit. Look, you're a Brooklyn boy just like me, which I'm really honored because, you know, representing Brooklyn. And we also went to the same high school, but I didn't know you. So I want to turn back the clock a little bit. Were you the guy at FDR High School that was passing out postcards to promote a club? I mean, I could see you're a hustler, man. What would you do in high school?
that was way before all that. Actually, I didn't do anything in high school. To my junior year, all I did was play basketball. I was on the junior varsity team. Then I was on the varsity team. I wore a hoodie and sweatpants every day, never brushed my hair, and just like mind my own business and just play basketball. Come around senior year, I started getting into it a little bit, you know, got the haircut, started figuring out that, yeah, there's more to life than just basketball at the time. And but no, I kept to my own business in FDR. I loved it though. Franklin D. Roosevelt, baby.
Oh, yeah, man.
20th, do you remember that?
Yeah, we had a nice campus for our high school, right?
I used to have to walk. When I first started going to FDR, we lived by Ocean Parkway, and I used to walk by the Avenue I Flea Market. Remember under the
yeah.
And I used to walk home. Then sophomore year, we moved to Bedford Avenue, and I had to take two buses, the B9, the B68, to get there.
You know
every
what?
Day, back and forth.
That was annoying, wasn't it? I had to travel from Canarsie.
Why didn't you go to?
Because what happened was I played high school baseball at FDR, and
I played basketball. Mr. Slater.
Yeah, Coach Slater. Yeah.
I love Slater.
Oh yeah. So then I got a scholarship down to. Yeah. No, I mean I'm surprised I didn't see you. I don't know, man. I'm trying to get my memory, and I got great memory. I never did drugs in my life. I don't get it. How come I never saw you? You know.
Well, like I said, I was hiding under a hoodie.
Right. So, you actually, you know, talk to me about, were you the type of kid that used to wear the Sergio Tacchini with the pants cuffed and shit like that? Was that you?
I wore the Sergio Tacchini. I had the champion socks over the Sergio Tacchini with the Reeboks. I had a little mullet back in the day, a little mustache, a little spiky hair. I was out of my fucking mind.
I love it, baby.
What the hell I was thinking?
Hey, your girl's like, Jesus, this is my man. What am I doing, right?
She has no idea what the fuck is going on right now.
Hey, you got a great guy, all right? Well, anyway, so after high school, when you graduated, I mean, what was your job during your high school days? I mean, I know you were a hustler. I could see it already.
So I'm going to go on the record and tell you, never told this to anyone, I did not graduate. I had one credit missing, and they wanted me to go to summer school, and I refused, and I never went back and graduated. It's the honest truth. I worked after school. I worked on 66th and 18th at the sporting goods store. Remember on 66th and you grew up in Canarsie.
No, but I know Bensonhurst very well. Because you know why, Danny? Before you say it, I moved from Cotillion Road on East 7th Street. That's where I grew up. But then we moved to Canarsie when I was 14.
Yeah. In the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So I worked after school. Starting in my junior year, I worked after school from 3 to like 7:30, 8 o'clock. I worked there for a couple of years. I worked at M&M on Kings Highway, selling sneakers, just, you know, couple dollars an hour, kind of like just. I always try to keep busy and make a little bit of money.
Okay.
So
And
that's what
then,
I'm doing. I was playing basketball and working after school.
so did you go to college afterwards, or you couldn't go to college because of that one credit, right?
Yeah, I just never. What happened was I loved basketball and I loved playing basketball, and I realized that I loved going to school because of basketball.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But I was not a great student. I just ADD and just the whole thing. I started working. I just started my life, started working. Never, I would never give that advice to anyone else. My kids are going to go to college.
Right.
But for me, at that time, I just wanted to explore. My brothers had a business. I worked with them a little bit. My dad.
And then, how did you get into the nightclub? Who introduced you to that business?
So here's another crazy story. I never went out. Like you said, you never done drugs. I never done drugs. I didn't drink till I was 21. I never went to nightclubs really. I went to one club when I was 16. It was like a live performance by Rob Bass. I remember the Bay Club. But other than that, I never really went to a club. Never went to Manhattan to a club or anything like that.
Wow.
I played basketball. That was my thing. Always about basketball. Um, and age 21, a friend of mine was telling me, let's go to this club, Limelight. That was, Limelight was the first time I went out. I loved it. And I overheard someone talking about throwing a party. It was a singles party. And I was like, I can do that. I know a bunch of people, from growing up. I threw a party. No one showed up except my mom and a couple of friends and family. There was a promoter there. He was like, why don't you come work for me? $3 a person back then. Every person I bring in, he gives me $3 that pays, and I would get in for free. Give me a couple of drink tickets, and I thought I was the man.
So you felt like you had power, huh?
Yeah. I started working for all these promoters, but early on, I realized I want to do my own party, and I started a party at the China Club on Saturday. Then I met this guy, Alone Ghibli, who ended up being my partner, and we started doing Tuesdays. I tattooed together. I'm 22, 23 years old. I'm running around New York having the best time.
So, but you were making good money back then by promoting, right?
Well, not then. It got obviously around 1996. It started getting a little bit more serious where I had my own party at Tattoo. And then we got, then I started getting Mirage on Thursdays, and then Expo, and then Life on Tuesday. And then, I started meeting a lot of, I met this girl who was a model, who ended up becoming like a supermodel. She fell in love with me, and she started introducing me to all her girlfriends. Before I knew it, I was the guy. All the models started calling, started meeting people that became, successful actors and celebrities. And that's where it all started. That's when things started happening. I met my best friend now, Noah Tepperberg, and Jason, and it took off from there.
Yeah, as for you people that don't know who Noah is and Jason, they're actually owners of Tao, right? They're the founders.
Founders of Tao Group, yes, correct. We opened our first club together in 2000 called Luan. It was a restaurant club
Mm-hmm.
with Stephen Baldwin. He was our partner.
Oh, wow.
On Fifth Avenue and 12th Street. It was great. We lost all our money. We didn't, we were kids. But it all started from there. And Noah and Jason, I went on a huge run with them in nightlife. We ended up owning a bunch of clubs and restaurants together. But that brings us to the next phase where, after nightlife, I always wanted, something else. I loved acting, and I wanted to get into that. So slowly I started getting into that, and eventually was able to move into it
Right,
full
but
time.
you were very successful in New York City as far as promoting. But then, what made you to say, you know what? I'm leaving everything behind New York and I'm going to LA. And another question, Danny, how did you promote so well without social media back then? Can you imagine if you had social media back then?
It was totally different. It was more personable, and you would meet people. I used to go out every night. That was our business. We would go out every night, meet new people,
Mm-hmm.
give out invitations. It's really about becoming friends with people when they trust you. You build a hardcore following of friends.
Mm-hmm.
I never looked at them as clients. I had my hardcore friends. Every party I would do, I would invite them, everyone else wanted to hang around those kind of people. And I realized what people wanted to see. As you get older and you more experienced, people wanted to see beautiful girls, models. They want to see celebrities. They want to see athletes. And I catered to that. I knew that was our go-to. And for me, it was my go-to thing. Noah and Jason always concentrated on the business aspect of it. Alone was on the business aspect of it. They did more like numbers, which was like the fillers. And together, we were able to, pack a house. It was great. It was the best time of my life. I got to be honest with you. Being a young guy in New York, running around, throwing parties, meeting new people, interesting people I've seen on TV and movies, and it was can't beat it.
But it was hard too, because here's the thing. I know, back in the days and still now, you would have model dinners. So what happened is that the models would come in, and when you threw the party, you guys would give them free drinks as long as they show up. They will hang out with business owners, entrepreneurs, athletes, actors, a lot of celebrities. But then it could go wrong because the girl could be like, "Oh, he's a creep," or the guy could say she's not that pretty, right? Did you have?
Well, we never like had the it doesn't really work like that where you have the models hang out with. They're just in the club. It's all a very organic flow. It's not like they come specifically to sit with an athlete or an actor. It doesn't work like that. You just make sure you fill the room up with beautiful people. And there's beautiful girls walking around, and just the fact that they're there, a customer wants to show off and be like, wait, look at me, I'm buying a bunch of bottles. Who's that? Can I meet? And he would go introduce himself and think that would be attractive to her. It was all, he's bringing the bottles to the club. She's bringing the actors are bringing the fame. It's one. If you got to watch my movie Club Life.
We're gonna talk about club life later on. Hold on a minute. We're still talking about your biography. I love it. All right. So
it explains it all.
okay, so for you viewers out there, Club Life is a movie about Danny, starring Jerry Ferrara from Entourage. He's the lead. But yes, we'll get to that. So then, what made you hit LA all of a sudden?
So I didn't hit LA. I started going to LA because I had a bunch of friends living in LA,
Mm-hmm.
and so I started going just to hang out. Not there's no business in it. And then as time progressed, I fell in love with LA. 6 years ago, I decided to get a house, and then I was doing bi-coastal. And 3 years ago, I moved permanently. But honestly, I did not move to LA for the movie business. I moved to LA for the weather. I'm making movies in New York. I haven't shot a movie in LA. I only shot one movie in my whole life in LA, and I was a small little role in You Don't Mess with the Zohan.
Is that the one with Adam Sandler?
Yeah, with Sandler.
Oh, okay.
That's the only thing I ever shot in LA.
So I still have my apartment in LA. Actually, I just Airbnb it right now. So, okay, now let's get into acting now, Danny. What made you fall in love with it? I know you love Al Pacino. I know you can impersonate the guy. That is your idol. There you go, right there.
Don't you fucking talk like that, okay? No, acting to me, I loved my whole life. When I was very young, I used to go to all these little auditions on the weekend. My mom would take me. I would have little headshots.
Yeah, like that one right there?
Well, yeah, this is like, I think I'm 19 or 20 years old.
Oh, okay.
Right? And I always loved it. I did a music video. I did a couple of like little things like that. I was an extra. It was just in the back of my head, like I would love to do it. It was not anything serious. But as as life, started, and I started doing the club stuff, and it was going very well. In back of my mind, all my friends that I've known since I was in my early 20s became very successful, and I was just like, oh man, I would love to do that. But again, everyone knew me as, Danny A, as the club guy. How am I going to get into it? I decided slowly but surely, what I did was I made a short film called Characters. And I asked my friend Lucas Haas and Sarah Foster to be in it. Kevin Nash, who ended up directing Holy Rollers, directed it. And I loved it. I had such a great time doing it. And then I would take small little roles that I would try, like Adam Sandler would be like, Danny, come and do a couple days on this. And friends like that, Fred Durst, just little roles here and there, just to get my feet wet and start learning the business. And until I decided I was ready to go make my first movie.
And Danny, if you weren't a club promoter, and because everybody knew you as the club promoter before you got into acting, right? Oh yeah, that's the club guy, that's the club promoter, right?
Yeah.
If you didn't know these people, it would be even much harder to get your feet wet, right?
I gotta be honest with you. No one from the club business um, helps you get any role. It doesn't work
Oh,
that
I
way.
know that already.
What did happen was I met some amazing people by being Danny and happening to be in the club business. I got to spend time with them, and I met a few people that really stepped up and are still some of my closest friends in the whole world that I love. And they kind of gave me a push with being positive and being like, you should go for it. And one or two really like backed me on my first movie when I really wanted to make this movie, Holy Rollers. Um, they helped out financially. They're like, look, Danny, we believe in you. You're a winner. Um, Go do it, and we will find the funding. And then that's what happened. So I'm not gonna meet a director in nightlife and he's looking at me. This is Danny,
Right.
and he's going, hey, come be in my movie. It doesn't work that way.
Does I know, I
When
know.
I was ready to go make my first movie, I tapped into people that I met that are very successful. That I said, hey, look, I'm trying to raise money, and you think you can help me out with like introducing me to people, and that's what happened.
So your first TV part was Entourage, right? People don't realize actually it was a good piece because I always remember that part. You're in the paparazzi, right?
I got a good story for you. I got
Go
a good
ahead, give
story.
me that story. Actually, let me tell it before that you tell the story. It was the part when Adrian Grenier, Jerry Ferrara, they all come out, and then they're interviewing Adrian Grenier and Johnny Drama, which is played by Kevin Dillon, and you had the last question while you were taking pictures. I actually remember that part very well, but go ahead, tell me that story.
It was the pilot. So I'm having lunch with Mark Wahlberg, and I tell him, yeah, I'm going to get into acting. And he says to me, I'm shooting a pilot for HBO. I'm going to throw you in there so you can get your SAT card. And that's how I got my SAT card. I went in, I met with Doug Ellen. He said, all right, take this camera. You say these 3 lines, blah, 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 blah. I stayed all night. A bunch of my friends came. They watched. It was like a funny thing to them because they know me as one person. Then I'm standing on set
Yeah.
with a camera waiting. Uh, but it was great. And Mark really looked out and got me my SAT card.
And you know how I got my SAT card? I did a Subway commercial.
Nice.
And the guy that I did it with, Jarrett, he's in prison now.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah, I was like, what? Yeah. So after Entourage, you felt good, right? It gave you a little confidence, right? You're like, you know what? This is what I really love to do, right? So then you started focusing on films, right?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
So after Entourage, you felt good about yourself. You're like, this is fun. You were having fun on set, and then
Yeah.
you started making films. I mean, auditioning for films. What
Yeah,
what was
so,
your first major audition, Danny? What was it? What film was it?
I didn't really get like auditions because I didn't have representation. I wasn't really auditioning yet. What happened was um, I had a couple friends that were in the business that were like, come in, do one day, because I told them I want to get into acting. They come, we'll give you a small little role. So I do one day on this, and I have one scene like arresting someone in the education of Charlie Banks. Another scene, I'm a presenter, little things like
Right.
that. That's when I was like, I feel comfortable enough as an actor. I want to make something where I can act in as well, and showcase my acting ability. And that's when I was like, I'm gonna go make my first movie. And that's how Holy Rollers came about. I saw a show on the Discovery Channel called Interpol's Fight on Drugs, um, and it was about 4 segments. One of the segments was about Hasidic Jews that were smuggling ecstasy, and I was like so intrigued by it. I knew the story from like I've heard it in New York from being out in clubs. I heard about this guy, and I woke up, looked it up, and I found a story called Holy Rolls in the New York Times, and we bought the rights to the story and to the name, and that's how Holy Rolls came about. went and got a writer, Antonio Macia, who ended up writing also my latest movie, Blackjack. Um, he wrote a great script. Kevin Ash was coming on as a producer to help me out. He directed my short characters. And when we were getting ready, Kevin was like, Danny, I want to direct this movie. We didn't have a director yet. And I was like, are you sure you are ready for this? And I was thinking about it. And then I said, you know what? He was so he was so into the story and so into the whole world that I was like, okay, he's the right guy. So I gave him the shot. He directed it. He won Breakthrough Director of the Year at the DeVille Film Festival, at the Gotham Awards. He did great.
And,
So what happened was, it took 2005. 2005. I have the idea. We start writing the script. I start trying to raise money. I go out to LA. I realize the only way I'm going to make this is if I raise the money myself. I ended up meeting Jesse Eisenberg on the set of The Education Charlie Banks. I give him the script. He reads it. He loves it. He tells me, I love this. I want to do it. He signs on. I go with his name, Jesse Eisenberg, trying to raise money. No one's giving us any money. He's a independent film actor. There's no real name value behind him. And through friends, Kevin's mom put in money. We ended up meeting actually Peter Gation's daughter, Jen Gation, who used to own Limelight and The Tunnel and
wow.
Palladium, came on as a producer. She got some money, and together with some of my friends, we put together the money. We ended up shooting, the movie. I casted Q-Tip, who was a friend of mine. I called him. We got Justin Bartha, Ari Grainer, Jason Fuchs. And we went and shot in 2009. Freezing, January, cold.
Oh.
Kevin Ash, we do it in 21 days. And the movie gets into Sundance. And I'm like, oh my God, this is incredible. Yeah. We go to Sundance, we make a sale. The movie gets theatrical distribution. First independent, Gary Rubin picks it up. I thought this is it. From now on, it's going to be easy. And it wasn't. It was just the beginning. Every movie is another hustle. But that's how it all started.
So, Danny, what's great without representation, because a typical actor, goes to LA, he probably has representation, but you didn't have anything, man, and it's because of your personality and you being so authentic and so genuine. That's why these Hollywood people took you in as like, hey, I like this guy a lot. Do you give credit to that, like you being Danny A?
Thank you for saying that. My whole life, I feel like everything, all my successes in clubs and movies, it all comes from me just being me. And I feel like I'm nice to everyone. I'm genuine. Mm-hmm. I don't try to be anything that I'm not. And people remember that. People forget most things, but they don't forget the way you make them feel.
I agree.
I think that I've made some people feel special or good, and they remember that. Now, again, no one ever gave me a role because I was a nice guy, Danny. Right. I had to go, I had to audition, small
I've
things
been there, man.
On this, yeah. But the real big roles, it was really creating my own work to showcase my talents. Then to start getting auditions for movies, the bigger movies, then you have to push and hustle and try to get a favor, try to get an audition and things like that, and I did. I never really had representation. I have a couple of friends that are really big in the business that help me out. With just like connecting me if I need, things like that. But no one's picking up the phone going, Danny's available. That doesn't happen. It's really just me trying to create my own work. We'll get to the whole Irishman thing, and I'll tell you all about.
Oh, you know what I want to get into? I love the film Iceman. Holy shit! What a great film. You were in there with wait, that's Club Light. Hold on, here's Iceman. Here it is. I mean, that film right there. It's a true story, And you got Shannon. It's Michael Shannon played him really well.
Michael Shannon, Winona Ryder, Chris Evans,
and Ray Liotta.
Ray Liotta, great cast.
How did you get that part? Did you have to audition for that?
No. So I know the director. He's a friend of mine, Ariel Vroman, and he was trying to put the movie together. And through my relationship and friends of people that I met throughout, starting in the movie business and even back from like club, my club life, um, I was able to introduce him to some people that were able to make some attachments on some big actors.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me, he's like, Danny, you can help me get this movie made. I'm gonna give you this role. Um,
Wow.
and he ended up not casting the person that I was trying to help him get, but he stood by his word and he gave me the role. And that was like the first time I said, "Oh my God!" Like I'm about to go toe to toe with Michael Shannon, who I think is one of the greatest actors in the world.
Oh, he could
And when I
deliver.
yeah, and when I did that, it really that's when I was like, doing Holy Rollers. I was the producer on the movie. It was my baby, so I felt comfortable. But being on set with a director that and actors that I've never met, I have nothing to do with it. I'm just an actor, just like anyone else. I'm not a producer on it, and going toe to toe and doing scenes with Michael, who's incredible, really like made me think like, you know what, you can do this. You can do it with the big boys. And you can really like. So that was a great experience, and the movie was great. I loved it.
No, it was a great film. Danny, do you think the Hitman, a hit, was $20,000? You think he wrote that shit off when he did his taxes?
Yeah, definitely.
Right? Yeah,
Oh
just a
yeah,
little bit, right? You know.
yeah. Johnny bag of donuts. There was 20.
Right.
Yeah, of course,
So then
yeah.
we after that film, you had a little part in the Wolf of Wall Street. That was impressive. Martin Scorsese, baby, right?
First time being on set with Scorsese. I mean, I have, I'm 15, 20 seconds in the movie. But again, best experience of my life. Just watching, Marty direct. I was just in the room like this in shock. You have to understand, I was still one foot in nightlife and the other foot in trying to do the movie stuff. But just being on set and just like the energy and just watching, how it was all done on the highest level, I was just ecstatic.
Well, we're gonna talk about Scorsese when you got the Irishman. So now let's talk about the club life. All right, you
Right.
mentioned that before. What
So,
was it? Hold on a minute, Danny. Was it between Jerry Ferrara and another actor? And why did you hire Jerry? Why did you want him?
so what happened was, uh, I wrote the movie with Ryan Onan, and I was thinking to myself, I gotta have someone younger than me play, me because it's about me at age, 28, 29 at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and we tell it in 1 year. Um, he needed to be from New York, from Brooklyn, and I started thinking who's right.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, Entourage was really hot, and um, I knew him fairly, not great, but I knew his manager,
Right.
and I called him, and he was like, let me see the script, let me read it, and he said Jerry would be great in this. You should try to talk to Jerry, and that's how it came about. At that level, at small movies like that, you try to attach a name, and plus you want it to be right.
Mm-hmm.
And your options are not that big. It's not like I'm starting to audition big names.
Right.
It's a first time director at the time, Fabrizio Conti. But yeah, that's how Jerry came about.
And then after, here's my question: how many takes did you guys? Where'd you shoot that? First of all, as far as was it actual clubs in New York City that you shot the
Yeah,
film?
so we shot it at Avenue. We called it Venue.
Mm-hmm.
We shot it at Marquee.
Okay.
Um, it was mostly Avenue, Marquee, and I had a place called the Spot at the in Soho at a hotel.
Did
We shot there
no?
and around New York.
So did you have all those extras, or was it like actually a club live happening, and you told everybody, "Look, we're doing a movie
It was
right now," right?
it was one scene, the beginning scene where all those people was we put a camera in the club. We put um, um, banners outside saying we're going to shoot a movie in here today. If you don't want to be shot, then don't come in, kind of thing. And everyone signed off on it. And we shot, the established like big club stuff. But everything with it's actually there's scenes when we're talking, and that's all extras and friends. A lot of friends, just like anyone who wants to be in a movie, come on down, and
Right.
you'll get to be in a movie.
How many takes did you guys go through in the club scenes? Were there a lot of takes, or it was like,
Yeah, it's loud. You're trying to get the energy, then you shut it off. Of course.
yeah, right, right, right.
First time director, we want, we was we were still trying to figure out this whole movie stuff. It was the second movie that I was, acting in and producing, and so we were still learning going along the way. Yeah.
So now let's talk about First We Take Brooklyn, okay? It was in the movie
Uh,
theaters. That's actually now you're back in Brooklyn. This is your hometown, my man. Talk to me about that.
so now, after making these two movies, I decide I want to tell stories that I've always wanted to make. Right. So, first we take Brooklyn. I tried to find a director. I didn't want to direct. I never even thought about directing.
Right.
And I tried to find a director, and I interviewed a few people, and they just didn't understand the story with the Israelis and the you have to be not just Israeli, but you have to have grown up in that neighborhood to understand their mentality and the way they are and their mannerisms and all that. Because I also wanted to speak in Hebrew and have subtitles, um, but no one really understood it. And then I said, I really want to make this. I think I'm going to direct it, and that's how that came about. Harvey Keitel. Oh, Harvey Keitel. His daughter Stella is in Holy Rollers, and he comes to the premiere of Holy Rollers. And after the premiere, he says to me, "Hey, you're a good actor. You're a good actor. One day, me and you, we should work together." Wow. It's my first movie. Harvey Keitel says to me.
God.
Years go by. I'm thinking, did he really mean that? Okay, so I called Stella, his daughter. She gave me his number and his wife, Daphna. I called him. I started speaking to him, and I had lunch with him, and he agreed to do it. He did only a couple of days in the movie, but it was such an honor to do it. My first movie about an Israeli guy that gets out of prison on a technicality on murder.
Mickey.
Mickey Levy, and he moves to Brooklyn to his uncle's because his mom passed away. She left him a little bit of money. He goes to see his uncle, and all hell breaks loose.
And then now when you directed, right, Danny, when you shot it, right, and then after a take, you would go back and look at it and say, let's do like that's how you did it. I mean, it's hard. You're directing, producing. You actually co-wrote it too, right? Did you write it?
Yeah, I
Right.
co-wrote it. So what I did was I knew it was going to be tough, so I hired a guy who was also a director,
Mm-hmm.
and I hired him as a consultant. And I said, I want you to stand behind the monitor, and I'm going to speak to you while I'm doing my scenes, and I want you to tell me what you're seeing and explain to me what you're seeing, and we would communicate. I would shoot my first take, go back, and then instead of having to continue to run back and forth, I would communicate with him. I'm like, "Do you see this? You see?" But he spoke Hebrew like me, so we were speaking Hebrew, so I could understand what he's saying without offending anyone on set or without
Right.
anyone understanding it. So.
And then you also had was it Catherine Narducci and Gino in that film too?
Oh yeah, my
That's your
favorite.
that's your entourage right there. you know?
That's my people. That's my people. I love Catherine. She's like a great friend, an incredible actress. And Gino, that's my guy. Yeah, so Gino's in it, Catherine's in it. Annalyn McCord plays my girlfriend. My guys, Stevie Gutman, I had to throw him in there. That's my man. Kyle Stefanski. We had a great time.
So what I noticed, Jennifer Esposito in the movie Mobtown, you wrote the script and you just call her. Look, you're in, right? You're in on this film, right? I mean, it's not like it's. Hold on a minute, Danny. You don't audition people. You call your friends, right? But like, listen, I want you in this film, right?
It didn't really happen like that. What happened was I've known Jennifer for years.
Mm-hmm.
Always followed her career. We're friends. And I lost touch with her, but we're still, I still see her on Facebook. And this movie comes around, I'm like an Italian in her 30s. I'm like, it's only one girl I can think of, right? So I called her. I sent her a message on Facebook. I was like, hey, I'd love to talk to you about something. Can you call me? She called me. She's like, what's up? I was like, listen, I got this script. I really want you to do it. I think you're perfect for it, and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, I'm so proud of you. I see you doing all these things, and blah, blah. This is great. And I was like, well, would you do it? And she's like, well, send it. Send it. I was like, okay. She's unbelievable. I mean, as a person, as an actress, she's just a beautiful person. Same with Jamie Lee Sigler.
Yeah.
Been friends with her since she was 17, 18 years old, shooting Sopranos in New York, running around New York as kids. And again, I couldn't think of anyone. I'm very fortunate. I couldn't think of anyone more that I wanted than Jamie. And she's harder to get. She's a mom. She lives in LA. And, we're shooting this in New York. It's a small movie, and
Right.
I knew that she did the whole Sopranos. And I didn't know if she wanted to do something about the mob. And I called her, and she's so sweet. And she's like, I love you. I'm doing it. Great. Send it. And it was just again, I'm very fortunate.
Her father, Danny, I don't know if you know, I have a huge baseball background because, I played college baseball in Florida, I had a scholarship and all that. Her father started the men's league.
Really?
Yeah, nationally. Like, her father was the founder. On the baseballs, it would say, I don't know, I forgot her father's first name, but it would say Siegler, her first name, and Siegler on the baseballs.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, you should ask her. She has and I think her husband, is their last name Dykstra?
Yeah, he's Lenny Dykstra's son.
Yeah. So, she's probably surrounded by baseball dinners all the time. But yeah, so yeah, because when I saw an interview with Jennifer Esposito talking about the film, she's like, "Oh, he's so positive, and I love working with him because he achieves, he tries." I think you're a man of your word, Danny. That's what I like about you. You know what I mean? Like someone tells you, if you promise somebody, you're gonna do it. So that's
all you have is your word. And again, I feel fortunate to be able to work with them, and the fact that they want to work with me and they agreed to do it is incredible. But if I tell you that you're going to be in my movie, and I really mean it, you're going to be in my movie. And I try to, if I'm going to make a movie and I tell you you're going to be in it, I try to, because I would have loved for someone to go, yo, bro, I see you. I know you're hustling. Next thing I do, I'm going to have something right for you. I would have loved somebody to do that for me.
Right. Wait, hold on, Dan. Can you give me an impersonation of Al Pacino when he says, "All I have is my word and my balls"?
All I got in this world is my word and my balls. And I don't fucking break it for anybody. See that piece of shit up there? I never like him. I never trusted him. All I know is he had me set up and my best friend killed. Now I'm here, he's not.
Angel Fernandez.
You gotta watch Characters. It's so funny. I love Al. It was his birthday a couple days ago.
Yeah, 80 years old. I got this picture. Where is it? I got a picture of you and Al Pacino. Oh, did I upload it? Shit, where is it? Oh man, I don't have it on me right now. But there's this picture of you and him, Danny. It's awesome. It looks great. Like you can see it.
Which one? What picture?
Oh man, I totally forgot to upload it. Damn it! It's on your Instagram. There's a picture of you and him, but it's all good. Danny, so let's talk about a hit, man, a hit film. Like actually, I got it right here. Sex and
which one?
This one right here, baby, The Irishman.
Greatest experience of my life. What do you mean? It's like, so I'll tell you the story.
Go ahead.
Ellen Lewis, who is Scorsese's casting director, who I went in to see a few times. I love her. I love her. She's so sweet to me and so nice to me. And I get an audition for The Irishman, and I go in and I do my audition, and she's like, "All right, great," and I leave, and I speak to her a couple of days later, and she's like, "You're not right for that particular role. Let's try something else." Because, they were trying to find something for me. I really wanted to be in the movie. And I auditioned 3-4 times. And then my last audition, I started doing this character, and I was, in my mind, I was doing him like this. I was like, "Listen, you motherfucker, you fucking come into this fucking, I was doing this whole thing. And she's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, I don't understand. Because, I don't have the whole script. I just have like this particular scene. And she's like, "No, just do the exact same thing. But do it like you. Just talk natural." And it was the best note I ever got in my life. That was the greatest. That changed everything for me. Because you don't need to create a character that's over-exaggerated. What makes, Scorsese's movies so incredible is because you feel like no one's acting. everyone's just naturally doing it.
Right.
If you actually talk like that, then that's the way you talk. But you should just bring what they see something in you, in your character, in your personality, where your background is, and all that. That they want you to play yourself a different character, kind of like. And that's what I understood, and it really helped me out. And then when it came down to it, and they gave me the role.
But you actually had to. You had 4 callbacks, right? They had a little doubts because you didn't fit the role.
Yeah, I fit the world, I think.
Yeah, but you said in one of your interviews, like, I don't know if I fit the role, but that's why I auditioned 4 times for it. It was a 4 callback, right?
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is, I fit the world that they saw me in that world that they were, and they were creating. I'm just saying they didn't know into what character.
Right.
I ended up getting Louis, the deadbeat.
Oh my God, that was awesome. That was awesome. Listen, how many takes did you guys go through that? And was it improvised or was it scripted? Talk to me about that.
So it was scripted until we got the set. And once we got the set, we improvised 80% of it. It was really much smaller. It was supposed to be more like, get in the car. Okay, and I just get in the car. And then it was also a couple of lines with Cannavale where he's like, I want my money. And I'm like, I swear to God, I'll be here tomorrow at 10 o'clock. And it was really very small. But once you got on set, De Niro and Scorsese would just play with it. And then Marty was like, I want you to tell him the first thing because, in the first scene, I say, I swear to God, I was going to go see him tomorrow. So Marty says to me, in the next scene, don't tell Bobby. The first thing you do is start with, I swear to God, Skinny, I was going to come see you tomorrow. And I remember doing it. And after the first take, Bobby was like, and I was like, Marty told me to do that. So it was incredible. And Bob was not supposed to hit me. He punches me out of nowhere. So a lot of it was improvised. It was literally a dream come true. I mean, up until this point, there's nothing that even matches being in that, on that set, that experience.
Danny, do you realize you're in a film with legends, not all-stars, legends in the acting business?
You tend to kind of like go, okay, it's the kind of personality I am, and I go, wow, that was great, and what's next? It's always about what's next. But this particular movie, it's gonna, I'm gonna show it to my kids. This is gonna be seen forever. It's one of those movies, Marty and Bob. It's probably gonna be the last movie ever of that type with these guys. So yeah, I'm very fortunate.
Did De Niro give you any tips in acting? Did he say, "Hey, Danny, you could be good, but this is what I want you to do"? Anything? But he left you alone.
No. We just did it. There was never any time where it was more like in the beginning when right before we started our first scene, me and him were standing there and he goes, so I'm gonna call you, Louis, come here, and I'm gonna show you the gun. Just like technical stuff, like what was gonna happen, where I'm gonna meet him, because they shot it on a wide, so we didn't have marks and anything, and it was just like really figuring out where it's gonna happen. But then we improvised the whole thing, and he was, the whole, I swear to God, I'll come see you tomorrow. I took a step back when I saw the gun because I felt like that was like the reaction.
Right.
It all worked. You have to understand, I was so nervous, but once I was zoned in, I was like, and we shot that first scene for like 5 hours outside.
Well, that zone in is where you get your basketball mentality, right? It's the same thing. Because I know acting. I went to the conservatory acting school. I know that once you're there, you got to deliver, but you got to be really focused because without listening, you're fucked. You got to be truthful.
Acting is reacting.
Yeah.
I'm listening. The advice I always give people, and advice someone gave me, was just listen to the other actor.
Yes.
And react to him.
Right.
The worst thing is when an actor is just standing there waiting for the line because he doesn't understand, because the camera's not on him now, they're not going to use his reactions when the other actor is talking. You got to be interactive with him. You got to listen to what he's saying and react, even just with your body or your eyes.
Yeah. Well, that's 90% of the acting is listening. Like you literally got to listen, because if you don't listen and you think of your lines, and if you notice cameras and you're a director, camera is more on the person listening than talking. There's more listening.
Absolutely. It's a.
So now,
lesson.
Danny, look, you're doing great as far as now. You did The Irishman. But now let's talk about the Lansky film. How did that?
Right. So Lansky is I'm just acting in it. You know, I'm not a producer or anything.
Right.
Uh, a friend of mine is the director, Eitan Rockway. I developed the script with him. I've always been obsessed with Meyer Lansky. The director, his dad, was the last person to interview Meyer Lansky in real life. His dad was a journalist. Today he's a professor in Tel Aviv University, and he wrote this book. It was called "But They Were Good to Their Mothers." It's about Jewish gangsters.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started talking to Eitan, who was in film school, you know, and you know wanted to become a director, and eventually now he's a great director. I was like, I want to make a movie about Lansky. I want to talk to your dad, and me and him decided to do it. He was going to always direct it. I was going to produce it. We developed it, and then as time went on, it took longer than I thought. And he was like, Danny, I want to take this myself and really do it. And I was like, all right, go run with it. And it took 6 years to get made. And then you know he was like, I always see you as the FBI agent. I was like, FBI agent, but he's like, I'm like, you know, but he's like, no, he's Cuban. He's an FBI agent. He's the young FBI agent. You'll be perfect for it. So yeah, we shot it in Alabama just before this whole Corona thing started. We wrapped it. I finished my other movie that I directed, Blackjack, the Jackie Ryan story, and basically was editing that, and then jumped on Lansky. And thank God, because now everything's on hold. But I do have two movies coming out next year. One being Blackjack that I directed. I'm not acting in it, and Lansky. So that's exciting.
When you went to Alabama, did you feel like the movie My Cousin Vinny? You're like, what the hell?
Absolutely. I mean, everyone was really nice, but it was like, you know, small town, just
Right.
mind my own business, little hotel, eating by myself, you know, waiting for the director to get off. We would sit there. It was just. You know,
Did they have the menu that just says breakfast, lunch, or dinner?
Breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Yeah.
Great.
Breakfast? And then Blackjack, I saw your Instagram stories, Danny, because I've been following you the past 2 years. And you actually you went down to West 4th Street and actually filmed it, right? In the basketball court right there where they have the basketball league.
Yeah, we didn't shoot exactly at West 4th Street. We were scouting West 4th, and we ended up shooting in upstate New York. But we have like some footage of the actual Jackie playing in the park, just like a pickup game. Yeah, but it's all about him starting in West 4th. We refer to West 4th the whole time.
Oh, okay.
Jackie, I've known Jackie. I played basketball with Jackie when I was 17 years old, 16, 17 years old. This guy shows up on his bicycle and murders everyone in the park. And we're like, and I was a pretty good basketball player. And I was like, who in the world is that? He looked like a Chippendale dancer. Long blonde, the mustache. And, you know, years later, I'm at Chelsea Piers, and this guy shows up. I don't recognize him at that point. He's like 50. And he starts talking about, yeah, they're going to make a movie about me. And I was, who's going to make a movie about you? Starts telling me, you know, names and, you know, mutual name that I recognized. And I was like, really? Called the guy. I was like, I want to get involved. Again, that whole thing, developed it, got the writer, Antonio Messia, to write it. And my favorite things in the world is basketball and movies. And I got to make a movie about basketball. So it's
Listen, Danny, I want to know, since you go to a lot of Laker games and actually you have gangster seats where you sit right on the floor, are you a Knicks fan or a Lakers fan?
But that's because of my friend John Middleton.
Okay.
John Middleton he owns the Phillies, the baseball team.
I thought Montgomery is part owner. I mean, he died, David Montgomery, right?
No, the owner of the Phillies is John Middleton.
Oh, wow.
Senior, and his son, John Middleton Jr., is a good friend of mine. He owns the Phillies, and he has floor seats, and I beg him for him all the time. I'm like, John, please, you're not in town. Can I have the tickets? Right. Every once in a while, he will throw me a couple of tickets. He's the best.
Are you a Lakers fan or a Knicks fan?
I'm a huge LeBron James fan.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Being a huge LeBron James fan, I go where LeBron goes. And now I live in LA, and LeBron is here, and this is my team.
Wow.
I'm Team LeBron. Yeah, that's my guy.
Oh man, I'm loyal to my team, and we're struggling, though, man.
Oh yeah. I love the Knicks. but LeBron's my guy.
So here's the question: LeBron or Jordan? If you started a franchise,
I've been watching the Jordan documentary. Oh my God, it's unbelievable. Uh, Jordan is my idol growing up.
mm.
It was like, Pacino for acting, Jordan for basketball. I still think Jordan is the greatest of all time. I think LeBron, overall, as an athlete, as a basketball player, is probably the greatest, you know, man-made athlete. His body, his IQ for basketball, he's just incredible. He still has a couple more years. He gets a couple more rings. You never know. But right now, uh, I still think MJ is the GOAT.
He's off the.
But very close second is LeBron, and he might, he still got a shot. If they won this year, if he comes and wins another one, it's a very big debate, but it's like anything else. It's like one guy likes this, the other guy likes, it's a debate. I personally, growing up watching Jordan, and just his killer instincts and just like his mental way of like looking at the game, I still think Jordan still right now is the GOAT.
Danny, I watched the documentary and I watch basketball too. I'm a huge fan, but my number one sport is baseball because I played it. But I realized that when I watched that documentary, The Last Dance, if you notice, anybody going down the paint, Jordan or not, they are throwing you on the ground. They don't do that in nowadays.
Yeah, of course. Hand checking, all that is totally different today. The 3 point line has changed so much because centers are shooting 3 pointers. It was a different game. It was more physical.
Yeah.
Back then, Jordan would have destroyed it now.
Oh my
It's a
God.
different game.
But it's like like an express lane. Whenever anybody that's big guy like LeBron goes down the paint, it's like they all, okay, here you go. It's all you. But when Jordan did that, let me tell you something. Every team threw him on the floor.
Of course, but you have to understand, Jordan went to college for 3 years,
Right.
and he had, and LeBron started at age 18 in the NBA. So you take the first 3 years of LeBron, it's like being in college. He's still, it's
Right.
if you break down, you have to understand, LeBron is in his 17th season. His body, he's playing 17 years of professional basketball, and 99% of the time they're in the playoffs and they're going deep in the playoffs. He's playing 100, 110 games a year. It takes a toll on you, and he's still the best player in the NBA. His body, I mean, his conditioning is just, but his IQ for basketball is just insane.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
mean, he takes teams with no one on him and takes them to the finals. I mean, it's just, obviously to win it, he had Kyrie and Love,
Right.
but LeBron is up there. Him and Jordan, those are the two. Jordan and LeBron.
Danny, I
In my
want you.
opinion, Abdul-Jabbar.
Exactly. Danny, I want you to say, if someone says, do you know Eddie Mata? I want you to say, who the hell is Eddie Mata? Just like that. So I was like, hey, watch this. Do you know who Eddie Mata is?
Who?
Eddie Mata.
What? By the way, I got a good story for you.
Go ahead.
I got a good story for you.
No, but Danny, but just say this real quick because I'm putting a real ticket. Just say, who the hell is Eddie Mata? Say that.
Who the fuck is Eddie Mata? Who the fuck? I don't know fucking Eddie Mata. I'm gonna tell you a funny story with the Who thing before we wrap this up.
Go ahead.
The day I rapped The Irishman,
a
friend of mine says to me, "I'm flying to LA. I'm gonna give you a ride." He had a private jet. "I'm gonna give you a ride." I say, "Oh my God, great!" I run to the airport. I meet him. I say to him, "You have no idea. I just shot this movie with Robert De Niro and Scorsese, and De Niro was so cool, and De Niro and De Niro and De Niro, And he goes, "Oh, that sounds great." I'm not kidding right now when I tell you the phone rings, and he goes, "I gotta take this call. Hold on. Hello? Hey, what's up? What's going on?" And he's like, "Hey, I'm actually sitting here with Danny A." He says hello. He said he just worked with you. And I hear, he's sitting not that far, and I hear on the other line, De Niro go, "Who?" And he goes, "Me." He just didn't move. "Who?" He's like, "Danny." He was like, "Oh, Danny." Because he said Danny A. He doesn't know who Danny A is. To him, it was Danny A, the actor.
Oh, man. That's awesome. Danny, your career's great. You're keeping the water running, which I'm really proud of you. You're doing good. I love a kid from Brooklyn that's just climbing up the ladder, man. It's good, man. Yeah.
I'm trying. You
No,
know, for
no, no.
me,
Hold on a minute. Hold on, Danny. You're not trying. You're doing. There's a difference.
But let me tell you the truth.
Go ahead.
For me, as long as I can, people tell me, you're gonna get that breakout role where people are gonna recognize that you're the next Pacino or Pesci, and and I'm thinking to myself, all right, great, maybe that's gonna happen. They don't understand. To me, what success is me getting to make movies. Again, would I love people to see my movies? Of course. Does it make me feel good that my work, my art, everything that I'm putting into it, and people are getting to enjoy it? Absolutely. But it's really about me fulfilling my dream. Always wanted to do this, and being able to continue to do it is, to me, the biggest success. So it doesn't, it's not about winning an Oscar. It's not about my movie make $200 million. It's really about just continuing to work and continuing to make movies that I want to make. As long as I can continue to do that, I'm happy and feel blessed.
Well, on that note, this is Danny A in the house. And Danny, can you just say, hey, please subscribe to my boy's channel, Eddie Mata, the Eddie Mata Show. Go ahead.
Hey, please subscribe to my boy Eddie Mata's fucking show, would you? Get that? Is that good?
That's perfect.
Subscribe to Eddie fucking Mata!
Hold on, Danny. I'm going to end the broadcast. I'm going to still be here with you. Hold on a minute.